This installment of Travel Tales and Tips takes us halfway around the world to Beijing, China. Beijing is the capital of China and one of the most populated cities in the world with over 20 million residents. Since the city's history dates back 3 millennia, there is plenty to see and do here, in between all the people watching. On day 1, we'll head to Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City to see how the other half lived during the Ming and Qing dynasties. Then, for lunch, we'll sample some Chinese dim sum. And in the afternoon, we'll hike through the 740 acres of the Summer Palace before finishing our evening at the Tiananmen food market. On day 2, we'll head outside the city to the Great Wall at Mutianyu. After spending our morning there, we'll visit the Olympic Park on our way back, and then spend the afternoon at the Temple of Heaven. In the evening, we'll attend an authentic Chinese acrobatics show at the Chaoyang Theater, and finish up with the most authentic Beijing meal you can have, Peking duck. And on day 3, we'll get up early to get some shopping in before our flight home. Our first stop this morning is Tiananmen Square. Unfortunately, since there's a big political meeting going on in the city, they've closed off entry into the main portion of the square. But we can still see it from the Tiananmen Gate Tower side of the road. Tiananmen Square is the 3rd largest city square in the world. It is known as a meeting place for the citizens of China and has been the site of many peaceful political events and protests through the years. But it is most well known by Westerners as the site of the protests of 1989 that ended with the deaths of hundreds of unarmed citizens at the hands of the military. Shockingly, if you ask the younger generation of China about this, they will have no idea what you are talking about. It is not permitted to be taught in schools, and access to many internet sites is restricted by the government. In China, as at a social dinner gathering at home, it is best just not to talk politics. In the words of my tour guide, things are the way they are. There's no debating like we in the United States are used to. I guess at least they can accomplish a lot that way. Looking back to the Tiananmen Gate Tower side, you will find that the gate is one of the most recognizable sites in China. It is often used as a national symbol. The large portrait hanging front and center is of Chairman Mao. The slogan surrounding him reads, "Long live the People's Republic of China, and long live the great unity of the peoples of the world." If we walk through this gate, we'll come to the Meridian Gate, which is the entrance to the Forbidden City. The Forbidden City, not quite so forbidden anymore with over 30,000 visitors a day, was home to the Chinese emperor and his family. The Meridian Gate is the south entrance to the Forbidden City. It's also the only entrance for tourists now, and where you'll purchase your entry ticket. The Forbidden City was the palace complex of the Chinese emperor from 1368 to 1911. It was believed that emperors were the sons of heaven, and this city was the center of the universe. The Meridian Gate has 5 doors. These doors had very special rules about who was allowed to enter through them and when. The central door was reserved specifically for the emperor. The empress was permitted to enter it once during her lifetime, on her wedding day. Today, we'll get that privilege as well. After passing through the Meridian Gate, we can see the Gate of Supreme Harmony straight ahead. The stones in this courtyard, and in all of the others inside the Forbidden City's walls, were laid 15 layers deep, alternating the way that they were laid. This was done for security to ensure that enemies of the emperor could not tunnel into the grounds, thereby keeping potential assassins outside of the city walls. Beyond the Gate of Supreme Harmony is the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the tallest building in the complex. We'll head there now. At 115 feet high, the Hall of Supreme Harmony stood as a symbol of the emperor's power. Therefore, no structure was permitted to stand higher than this building. This was where imperial ceremonies were held and important occasions were celebrated. Weddings, coronations, and birthday parties all happened here during the Ming and Qing dynasties. The surrounding square covers almost 7.5 acres and serves as a great opportunity to take in the vastness of this walled city. If we pass through the Hall of Supreme Harmony, we'll come out at the Hall of Preserved Harmony and the Gate of Heavenly Purity. This is the entrance to the imperial household. The large bronze pots you see lining the gate could hold over 200 gallons of water each, ancient day fire hydrants to protect the buildings. In the center stairway of the Hall of Preserved Harmony, you'll find a huge dragon carving on a 250-ton marble slab. Made entirely out of one piece of marble, it took 20,000 men along with thousands of mules and horses to get it from its original location to the Forbidden City. Throughout the palace and other imperial sites, you'll come across sets of imperial guardian lions. They were believed to have protective powers. The lions, in pairs, one male and one female, represented yin and yang. Today, they're mainly just a great photo op. Throughout your walk of the imperial city, keep your eyes out for all of the little details. From rooftops to doorways, there's meaning in everything. And as you exit the complex, don't forget to take one final look back to get a good view of just how enormous the wall surrounding the Forbidden City is. And for lunch, we'll head to Ding Tai Feng, a local dim sum restaurant. The menu is quite extensive with plenty of options. We'll focus mainly on their specialty, dim sum. From individual large steamed buns to the smaller sized portions usually served in 5, there are plenty to choose from. The pork stuffed dim sum were delicious, as were the shrimp. And we couldn't pass up on the fried rice or the little cakes for dessert. Overall, everything was pretty much delicious. Dim sum may just be my new favorite dish. And after filling up, we're ready for an afternoon at the Summer Palace. The Summer Palace started out as a garden and sometimes palace for the royal family during the Qin dynasty. In the 1800s, Empress Cixi, who we'll learn a lot about at the palace, reconstructed the grounds into the Summer Palace you see today, the largest imperial garden in China. 3/4 of the grounds are covered by Kunming Lake. The remainder is mostly taken up by Longevity Hill. The entire space is a little over 740 acres and can be divided into 4 areas: the lake, court, front hill, and rear hill. Because of time constraints, we'll mainly explore court and the grounds surrounding the lake, but all of the areas deserve attention during your visit. The court area was used for both living and conducting the day-to-day affairs of state. The Hall of Joyful Longevity was where Cixi lived. The bronze vase, deer, and crane positioned at the front symbolize peace. The front hill area has some of the most picturesque and photographed sights in the Summer Palace. The long corridor is the most impressive of these. At almost half a mile long, it is the longest gallery in China. There are 8,000 paintings decorating the gallery and its pavilions. An emperor built it in the mid-18th century as a birthday gift to his mother. That's quite a gift. Back at the lake, we're checking out the marble boat. Built in 1755, it was rebuilt again in the late 1800s for Empress Cixi's enjoyment, with embezzled naval funds, in a more Western style. It is the only structure you will find in a Western style in the entire Summer Palace. This area of the lake is called the Back Lake. It is artificial and only a result of dredging. You will find it is quieter back here and a good location to relax and enjoy the scenery. With docks, the memorial archway, paths and bridges, it is the perfect place to end your visit with a pleasant stroll. And for dinner, or not, the Dongmen food market serves up some pretty interesting snacks at night. It mostly caters to daring tourists. We decided to look rather than taste, but it makes for some interesting viewing regardless. Spiders, cockroaches, centipedes, and starfish are just a few of the odd foods we encountered there. But there are also options like dumplings and fried rice for those less daring. And it's day 2 here in Beijing. Our first stop this morning will be the highlight of our trip, the Great Wall. Here at the Great Wall of China, climbing a lot of stairs. The most recent survey of the wall has shown it to be over 13,000 miles long. To put that in perspective, that's more than half the circumference of the Earth. We'll obviously only cover a tiny speck of that on our walk this morning. But first, to get all the way up there, we'll take the cable car. This is by far the fastest and easiest way to reach the top. It's also one of your 2 options for getting back down. I'll show you the other way when it's time to leave. The entire wall was built over the course of approximately 1,800 years. But the wall as we know it today was built during the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644. The wall's purpose was protection. You'll find watchtowers and barracks built into various parts, though it was never particularly good at keeping out invaders. Built into the mountains, the wall had natural protection around it as well. This helped enhance the wall and further deter attacks. Nowadays, the wall provides a scenic location for some of the best and most historic hiking in the Orient. We're at the wall at Mutianyu, one of the prettiest locations, even in winter, and less crowded than Badaling, where many of the tourists go, but still very convenient to the center of Beijing. And after a decent little hike, we have reached the end of the line. For most. I don't recommend ever disobeying a posted sign, particularly in a foreign country, but our guide said it was fine. And hey, everyone else was doing it. And the view was definitely worth breaking a few tiny rules for. Just don't look down. And after a hike back to where we started, we skipped past the cable car to take option number 2 back down the mountain instead. The toboggan. It's a tourist attraction in and of itself. I just wish the woman in front of me had gone slightly faster. For lunch, we'll head to a nearby restaurant, Schoolhouse. Like its name implies, the restaurant is in an old schoolhouse. If your tour guide makes a reservation ahead, you may just be lucky enough to get one of the coveted patio tables. In good weather, this is the perfect place to enjoy lunch with a view. And speaking of school, in China, school is a serious business. A typical high school day can start at 7 a.m. and go as late as 10 p.m. Then there's studying and homework to do after. In addition, if you don't keep up with your studies, your classmates will know about it. Our local tour guide told us that typically in school, everyone's seats are rearranged once a month, in order from top of the class all the way down to the bottom. And on our way back to the city, we'll stop off at the Olympic Park. Beijing hosted the Olympics in the summer of 2008. The most recognizable venue of that Olympics, the Bird's Nest, is where Jamaican Usain Bolt won both the 100 and 200 meter gold medals on the track at world record pace. And, quite possibly, the most recognizable Olympian, Michael Phelps, broke the Olympic record for most gold medals in one Olympics right here at the Water Cube. He broke 8 Olympic records and swept gold in all 8 of his events. In all, 43 world records and 132 Olympic records were set over the course of 16 days that summer. All of this history in one place is enough reason to visit. Back in the city, we head to the Temple of Heaven. While the site is a major tourist draw, it is also a place where locals congregate to enjoy the open, park-like spaces within the complex. You'll find people enjoying the outdoors with their families or getting in their exercise on jungle gym equipment. If you enter through the East Gate, you can travel into the center of the complex via the long corridor. Locals gather here to play cards and board games, or just watch the activity and root on their friends. This provides a great glimpse into everyday life. If you follow the long corridor, you'll come out at the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest. This is the most recognizable and photographed portion of the complex. The Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest was built for exactly what it sounds like. The emperor was known to the people as the Son of Heaven. He was responsible for making sacrifices here, animals, incense, prayers, in order for the people to obtain a good crop harvest. This gave him far-reaching power, but also dire consequences if things went wrong. For instance, if there were several bad crop seasons, the people may begin to question if the emperor was in the god's favor any longer. He could be overthrown legitimately if he did not perform these duties properly. Now, we'll head south within the complex to the Imperial Vault of Heaven. First built in 1530, it was rebuilt in 1752. In the vault's center, you'll find the shrine where the wooden tablet of the God of Heaven was kept. The most interesting feature here, though, isn't the vault or the west and east annex halls flanking it, but rather the circular wall surrounding them all. It's an echo wall. If you stand at one end, behind the east annex hall, and a partner stands at the other, behind the west annex hall, they will be able to hear you talk, even at the level of a whisper. Finally, we'll head across the way to the circular mound altar. This 3-tiered terrace was used by the emperor to pray. He would lead the government officials here during the winter so that he could speak with the God of Heaven. The way that the altar was constructed, when the emperor stood on his spot directly in the center and prayed, usually for rain, it would amplify his voice. The effect would make his officials believe he was truly communing with God. You can try this yourself during your visit, but if there are too many people on the platform, it will diminish its effect. It worked pretty well when we were there. This is the perfect spot to end our tour of the Temple of Heaven. With one final look back over the vault of heaven and toward the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest, we're off to our next stop. We'll finish off our evening at an authentic Chinese acrobatics show. My favorite part had to be the finale, where the bicyclists and the motorcyclists show just how much skill they truly have. You'll have to go see it for yourself at the Chaoyang Theater to catch these two amazing acts. And for dinner, we'll head to Dadong. This is the place to go to try Beijing's specialty, Peking duck. And they have the awards to prove it. Their wall is quite literally plastered in them. You can see the team of chefs preparing your dinner right from the dining room. The ducks are roasted over an open fire and then carved with the precision of a surgeon, often tableside. The duck is served on a platter with pancakes on the side, as well as rolls, special sauce, garlic, sugar, radish, spring onion, and cucumber. A half duck is perfect for two, along with another menu item. We ordered the kung pao shrimp, which was absolutely delicious. The perfect combination for an authentic Beijing dinner. And we'll finish off with some complimentary kumquats. The steam effect comes from dry ice. And on day 3, before we have to head to the airport in the afternoon, we'll do some morning shopping. Since it's the weekend, we're in for a real treat. We're going to start out bright and early at Panjian Yuan Market, better known in English as the Dirt Market, and much easier to pronounce. This is a large outdoor flea market. You'll find everything from jewelry to antiques to jade. Fakes masquerading as the real thing abound here, so unless you know a lot about what you're looking at, I'd stick to assuming items are not as authentic as they may appear. Be sure to bargain hard. The vendors will start higher with you than they would with a local, so don't take their first or second or even third offer. Bargaining is half the fun. And we'll finish off at an authentic Chinese tea shop. You can find them all over Beijing simply by looking for the teapot symbol that is located above their doorways. Inside, you'll find shelves upon shelves of options. In China, different teas are served in different seasons. You drink flower tea in spring, green tea in summer, oolong tea in fall, and black tea in winter. We picked up some black tea for my mom, the perfect souvenir present for a tea lover. Walking in the Emperor's footsteps, in the Forbidden City, Summer Palace, and Temple of Heaven, it is easy to see that China has been the home of some powerful dynasties that helped create the base of the fascinating city we see around us today. Mix that in with 1 part culture, 2 parts exotic food, and a dash of modern-day architecture. And you have the recipe for success that makes Beijing such a great tourist destination. I hope you enjoyed this look into just a few of the highlights of this dynamic city. See you next time!